attention of the judges and the audience just like last time. So without further ado, let's get a warm round of applause to Ashutosh. And let's get right to it.
All right, guys. Hey, I'm Ashutosh. I'm one of the co-founders of Sensama. Sensama is a daily planner for busy professionals. Right now, we're doing $1.3 million a year in revenue. We're already profitable, and we're growing 10% month over month. And we're backed by some of the world's best investors, like Eric mentioned, Y Combinator. We're able to do this because we have 5,000 busy professionals who can't function day to day without our product. They pay us $20 a month to use the product. And without Sensama, they'd feel overwhelmed, overworked, and burnt out. It's pretty easy to understand why. When they start their day, they wake up to a deluge of notifications and different tools, Slack messages, meetings, tasks scattered across a bunch of different tools. And many of them are trying to navigate remote work and working from home for the very first time. And this question of, what am I actually going to get done today, is a pretty daunting question for them. And that's where Sensama comes in. Sensama holds their hand and walks them through a step-by-step daily planning ritual to give them a sense of control over their day. So I'm going to take a second to show you what it's like to actually use Sensama. In the morning, our users get an email that reminds them, hey, it's time to plan your day. And we also teach them some of the principles of how to work well with focus, calm, and intention. Then they open up the app, and this is sort of where the magic of Sensama happens. They get a single, unified view of all of their work across all of their tools in one place. So they can pull in their meetings, they can pull in a Slack message that they need to follow up on later, they can pull in tasks from their email, set aside time for them, and then they can pull in work from any of their project management tools. Notion, Trello, GitHub, Asana, Jira, you name it, we integrate with it. So once they've created this focused list of just the stuff they want to get done today, Sensama is smart about helping them make sure that the work they're trying to do is actually achievable and realistic. If we detect that what you're trying to do is more than you really can, we nudge you to move some of that work to a future day so you can have a calmer, more focused day. And finally, once you have that focused list, you can actually drag and drop your tasks right onto your calendar so that you can carve out time for deep, focused work. And my favorite part of Sensama's daily planning ritual is when it asks me what time I want to end my workday. As somebody who's been working from home for years, getting that nudge from the app to say, hey, it's time to end your day, take a moment to reflect, review, and celebrate your progress, that's been huge for me to get a better sense of work-life balance and just feel better about work. And that's what our customers say when they use Sensama. They feel calmer, they feel more focused, and they feel more in control of their time and their lives. And it's not something that takes them weeks or months to cultivate that feeling. It's something that they feel within one day of using Sensama. And what gets me really excited is our customers don't describe Sensama as a productivity hack or a way to get more things done faster. They talk about how Sensama has changed their life, given them more balance and a better sense of well-being. And that's what we're excited about. Sensama is really a new way to feel about your workday. And to date, we've grown primarily through organic growth because our product is really good. And we're also working with 500 plus creators whose audiences are really looking for a way to feel more calm, focused, and in control as they navigate their professional and personal lives. So if that's something that your audiences are looking for as well, we'd love to work with you. You can shoot me an email.
Thank you, Dr. Coach. Let's get straight into questions and conversations from our judges.
Well,
Go ahead.
how do you know how long one task is going to take?
That's a great question. So users are able to say, like, hey, this is going to take me X amount of time. So you can, Sensama has a really robust time estimation system built in, as well as if you're pulling in tasks from other tools like project management tools like ClickUp, and you've already added time estimates, or a project manager has done that, we import that data.
So how long would it initially take a client to establish himself in the system? Like, what's the onboarding time on average?
A couple minutes.
Yeah.
have a question for you. You mentioned
Sure.
creators. Which creators are you working with today?
So some of the ones we've had the most success getting Sinsama out into the world with have been Rowena on YouTube.
Rowena Sai?
Yes, yep. And then the How to ADHD YouTube channel has been a big one. So people who feel like I need a better way to focus, that's been a big area for us. And then one of the creators we worked with sort of indirectly, that was an organic post, was Xenia, which I showed a couple slides back.
First off, I'm very jealous of your beard.
Oh, thank you. I grew it myself.
You mentioned 5,000 paying customers?
Yeah.
Is there a trial model?
Yeah, so Sinsama is a 14-day free trial, and then when the trial is up, if you want to continue using it, you pay.
What's the conversion rate like?
The conversion rate is about 16%.
16%
That's
go
correct.
from trial to paid?
That's correct.
What's the price point?
$20 a month if paid monthly, $16 if paid annually.
I really like what you're trying to build. Obviously, it's been a tough year for everybody working from home.
Sure.
A lot of things that are difficult with productivity apps are that they could usually have a lot of competitors or they're more easily replicated. What would you say your moat is?
That's a good question. So for Sinsama, what's special is we fit into this very specific wedge around daily planning. If you look at the existing tools out there, Todoist, Notion, Asana, they're either like a project management or document capture or like tools built for teams. But Sinsama is really built for like one person, so that you can mix your personal calendar and work calendar. So we really focus on like a single individual's workday. And then the other big sort of competitive moat for us is our integrations, which are incredibly deep. Like the Sinsama integration for Asana, it looks exactly like Asana is built into our product. And the product development cost there is insanely high. Like each of those bespoke integrations takes a lot of time and engineering product design effort to build.
You mentioned design effort there. We didn't really get to see much of the UI.
Yeah.
There's not much of the product being shown. And look, I don't want to speak too far out of turn, but like looking at the design that we got to see, there's a freshness to it in the sense that like it seems like it's still relatively early stage. What is the focus on user experience and getting people who are used to using things like Notion, which has a massive following and tons of both engineering and design resources thrown at it? If I'm a consumer, or if I'm a potential user, I sign up for this, what is my experience like?
Yeah, actually one of the things you'll find is if you read the surveys of people who have upgraded and paid for Sinsama, one of the things they mention the most is how much they love the clean, simple UI and design. This was a minimal design just to sort of carry across some points. But we tried to keep it simple because the feeling that our customers have when they use other tools, whether it's Notion or Asana or what have you, is a feeling of being overwhelmed by hundreds of tasks, thousands of tasks, oftentimes tasks for their whole company, and they could be working at a huge company. So what we try to do is really simplify that and give you that feeling that each day it's like you're starting with like a blank sheet of paper. And so our UI is quite minimal in that sense.
Okay.
Graham, I saw you were about to ask a question.
Oh yeah. How do you expand beyond this? I mean, where do you see this going in 5 years from now? Do you just want to grow users for this, or do you want to grow to something bigger than this?
Yeah, I mean, I think that we're in a market that is expanding. In the US itself, if you look at like the top 10% of knowledge workers, the sort of highest earning, the people who would be our customers, that's already like a 30 million person market. Obviously, that's also expanding globally. So just growing in this is going to take us pretty far. And then the other thing you're seeing is more and more companies are starting to establish all of their processes in tools like Jira, Asana, ClickUp. You can see those companies have all been IPOing. And so as companies start to use those products more, it actually opens up more and more users for us because those people are going to work using those tools, feeling overwhelmed, and they want a way to just see the stuff that they care about that day, and that's when they're going to pay for Sinsama. So we're in sort of an expanding market in that sense.
So what happens when Notion eventually expands to literally be everything, including a social network and email client?
That's fine because for us, we're still focused on that like daily planning, daily shutdown, weekly planning, weekly shutdown, and we want you to have your tasks in Notion or whatever other tool, but we want to just be that layer that guides you through the process of planning out your day.
So who do you say your biggest competitors are now then?
Our biggest competitors are your pen and paper, your whatever process you have, or like people will do things like on their Google Calendar, like say, hey, I'm going to work on this task from this time to this time, and they're kind of hacking out these different workflows in whatever tool they're comfortable with. So it could be pen and paper, it could be Trello, it could be Notion, it could be Google Calendar, but we try to kind of bring it together and streamline it.
I'm actually really intrigued by that question. I'm curious for each of you, and then I'll go to audience questions. What do you use today to just keep track of your shit? So, Minx, how about you go first?
Well, if it's just for me, obviously I just open up my notepad on the thing, but then obviously a question I had is for creators. Some creators just have assistants where they rely on it, where what about Sunsana would make them want to change everything they know, whether it's Google Planner they know, or it's like, hey, I sent you the email, like, and you said it's a trial too. Is there like what's the price for the subscription to it, and like what are the big benefits that would make someone that's been using something else for years want to go to Sunsana?
Yeah, so there's actually no risk in feeling like, ooh, I have to like switch off of my existing tool. Sunsana sort of lives as a layer between you and your other tools. So let's say you've been using whatever, Trello for years as like where you manage all of your tasks. You can just plug Sunsana into your Trello, and then Sunsana will help you drag tasks in from Trello and say like, okay, today I just want to work on these 2 Trello tasks, instead of feeling like, oh, there's hundreds of tasks in here, I feel really overwhelmed. And then your other question, I believe, was about the price point. That's $20 a month after a free trial. And we ask for the credit card at the end of the trial.
Andrea, what about yourself? Do you use anything to keep track of things today, or any thoughts?
I use Google Calendar, and then the rest of it I use pen and paper or whiteboard or notebook. I did also have a question. So I do like that way you said what makes you different from the competitors is that you're more for an individual. So then my question is the interface for teams and groups. For example, like your coworkers, I have a schedule that I share with my sister, that I share with my esports team, with our assistant. Is the interface just going to be the same and they see all of your daily tasks and planning calendar, or do you have a different system for groups of people?
Yeah, that's a great question. So we actually have 2 different ways you can structure the privacy of your workspace. So if you're working in like a really small, tight-knit company, like maybe your team, and people need to know like, hey, this is what you're doing today, and here's what your other teammate is doing today, you can set it up so that things are shared, and you have like private channels so that if you have like something sensitive you don't want other people to know, you can do that. We have another model as well, which is where it's kind of like when your company pays for your Gmail and everybody gets their own inbox, but the company pays for the whole thing. So we have that as well as a way for us to like expand into companies so that everybody can have their own little safe Sunsana, but the company's paying for the whole thing.
Brilliant. All right, with that, let's go to audience questions. Also exciting, I now have a microphone, so 50% more official. Any to start with? Well, clearly our canine friends got very strong feelings about your pitch. I think he's upset you missed the dog food one. All right, Thomas Frank.
You mentioned that your greatest competitor right now is just the pen and paper whiteboards. Those are obviously free, so how do you convince customers that $20 a month is worth the upgrade when they already have, number one, the subscriptions they're paying for all these tools, along with all their other personal subscriptions?
Yeah, I think that's why our model is basically we let you try the product and you don't pay until the trial is over, because we really believe like you're going to use the product and you're going to use it for a day and you're going to feel different, and then you can make a decision. Was this worth $20 for you? That's $1 a day, and for our customers and our sort of market segment, $1 a day it's pretty small. And that's not the case for sort of all productivity tools. There's a lot of tools like Todoist which go further kind of down market into the more freemium side of things, but we're definitely kind of playing more in that freemium category.
Gotcha.
Sweet. Wendover. Sam from Wendover Productions.
Hi.
Hi, Sam.
So you kind of describe yourself as like an add-on to ClickUp or Trello or any of these kind of larger, better funded productivity platforms. What happens if they build this in as a feature?
That's a good question too. So they could, if you look at a product like ClickUp or Asana, they all have this notion of like a My Tasks view, and they have like a calendar side by side, but they don't really commit to this whole like guided daily planning ritual, all of the shutdown rituals, all of that stuff. And even what they have is still limited to just their tool and a calendar, whereas Sensama lets you integrate multiple tools. And what you'll see for people working in companies is oftentimes they're, one team they work on is using ClickUp and another team is using Asana, and they also have to use GitHub, Slack, Gmail, and Google Calendar. So having all of those integrations is sort of what makes us competitive against those.
So, Edison, looks like you have a question. Here you go. Yeah, it'll record it.
Oh, it's recording it. Okay,
Yeah.
that helps. Hi, yeah, so actually, can you go back to the slide with your product slide that was showing the demo about like how everything works? I think back is like the second or third slide. Yeah, there we go. Yeah. Keep going. Oh, yeah, the board one. Okay, so I'm still a little bit confused how the product works. So you say it pulls in tasks from all these different, whatever facets that people are using. So does that mean like if I am using Sensama, I log into every single one of these, log into my Gmail, log into my Notion, log into everything, and you guys have some kind of algorithm that scrapes through each of these different products and then has an algorithm that creates a task and then puts it on this board, or am I manually inserting these tasks?
All great questions. Okay, so this part here is sort of your Sensama list for the day, and then here in this right panel you can kind of toggle through different integrations. So if you click this, you would see your inbox, your Gmail inbox, and you could drag and drop an email right into your task list, like that. Or if you were using Trello, you could click on the Trello thing, you could go to a certain project board, a certain section, whatever, and then take that task and drag it into your list for the day.
Is it just like a section that takes the exact UI from Gmail, or you
Exactly, yeah. Like it literally looks like Gmail's UI. It literally looks like Trello's UI.
Okay, so you guys have a set list of products where there's a certain way that they can interact with the UI that creates a task in Sensama.
Mm-hmm.
So okay, that's interesting. Okay.
You can also just create tasks in Sensama as well if you don't, because you might have some things in here that are like project tasks, but you also throughout the day just have like random stuff come up that you need to put in that doesn't necessarily need to live in your project management or task management
Do
tool.
you guys have any kind of smart way of doing any of this, or do I as a user have to manually click into every single product, drag, okay, I'm gonna answer this email, go to this.
Yeah, great questions. So for some of our integrations, for example, like the calendar, we auto suggest like things that you're going to want to do that are on your calendar. For our other integrations, it's still more of a manual process, but we do automate the sync back. So for example, if you have a Trello task and you pull it into Sensama and you check it off, Sensama can do whatever you want with that. It can move it to the next column in Trello automatically. It can archive it. It can mark it as completed. So all of those kinds of like automations just happen seamlessly from within Sensama.
All right, in that case, let's now go to judging reactions. Let's actually go in opposite direction this time. So, Graham, I'm going to spring this on you. Are you in or are you out?
I'm out. Honestly, I just use notes on my computer, and I tried Asana, and I keep going back to notes on my computer and just texting other people to get stuff done. I'm also a bit worried that the 16% conversion rate is low. I don't know if that's high or if it's good or it's bad. It seems low to me, but I don't think I would use it.
Okay.
I'm just so much like I just work on my own.
Yeah, I think that's fair. One of the things about productivity tools is there's sort of like a personality aspect. Like a tool that could be great and it resonates with some people and it doesn't with others. So I understand that. Thanks.
Brilliant. All right, Graham is out. Alexandra.
I think with products like this, a lot of it is trying it and understanding what the differences are with other productivity tools. And I've seen other companies, there's also another YC company, BimCal, if you're familiar with them.
Yeah.
And they were talking about making the smart calendar app, and I didn't really understand what they meant. But then after you try the user experience, you get it, and they've been able to do extremely well. So I would probably go back, check it out, see if this is something like, wow, this actually changes my productivity. If that's the case, then I would definitely love to chat more.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sweet. All right, so it's a maybe from Alexandra. Marina?
I just signed up for the trial, so I would say yes for now.
All right,
great.
Marina is in.
I'm also on the same page. It definitely appeals to me. I'm super ADHD. I write my notes like very messy. This is something that I can see has a lot of utility. I would want to do a lot of research into the competitors because obviously there's a lot that are also doing very well. So I would do some research, try the trial, and then I would be happy to talk more.
Sure.
All
Sounds
right.
great.
That's a maybe from Andrea. Dave?
You're going to hate my answer.
Yeah? What is it?
I still have too many questions. What's the marketing strategy? How many more influencers do you think you're going to work with? Do you think the price point changes over time? Do you think that as new services get added, you're at the mercy of how quickly you can add those things in? I don't know, I could go on for a while. I also look at the trajectory of things, desktop mobile apps like Fantastical, who've done like smart calendar type things, Trello, Asana, ClickUp, Monday. There's so many of these things that it's hard to get my head around a thing that aggregates all of the things that I don't understand, which, I mean, frankly, that's great, but it doesn't solve the problem that there's still like 100 things that I'm subscribed to. I run a team of 76 people, and I could not tell you with a gun to my head right now which of the various things the team uses. I know that for most of us, Thomas Frank makes us use Notion, so I just do whatever he tells me. I would say interested. I've got a lot more questions,
Sure.
So potentially in,
All right.
but there's a lot I don't understand.
A maybe from Dave. Minx?
I just like the fact that, you know, people make plans with me. I like that I can just integrate everything in. Look, no one should be listening to me as a business standpoint. I'm in again, but we saw our last round, my boys. I was all alone. I'm in firstly because I'm like, I don't know what I use. I keep changing Notepad, Google Calendar.
It sounds like you need this.
Yeah, if I can put them all in one place, that's why I'm like, perfect.
All right.
Here we go in. Yeah, I'm in.
Minx is it in. Okay.
All right, cool.
Amazing. What about audience vote? Raise your hands if it's a yes for Sunsama. Okay, looks like a little around half. Around half. All right, raise your hands if it's about a no. Well, you know, mathematically, it's also about half. that makes sense. All right, everyone. Hashtags, thank you so much for your time. You're welcome. All right. So, our next pitch is going to be Beacon's link in bio. We can take a 1-2 minute break, or we can get right into it. How are people feeling?
Let's get right into it.
Let's get right into it. All right. Can we shut down the live stream?
We're not live.
We're not live. All right.
No, we are
We-
live now.
We are live.
Oh, we have to shut it down?
Let's shut down the live stream.
I didn't know we were
Beacons
live.
is a private pitch for your ears only. Sorry, viewers on stream. We'll share highlights afterwards.
It's a private pitch that I'm doing.